V at radiovermont.com.
The energy.
So this guy in the fantasy baseball chat is just ripping me. He's calling me names for how I handled my team. Buddy, you had 20 weeks for your own team to play better. Don't be mad at me.
The passion.
Mac Jones is fighting not just for his Patriots job, but he very well may be fighting for his NFL future.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
For the Red Sox, it can't always be about next year. It can't always be about down the road. Where's the team that battles for now?
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEB AM, FM, and WDEBradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Brady Farkas Show, WDEB, AM and FM, and WDEBradio.com. Lot to get to. Full show, all 90 minutes. I am pumped about it. UVM men's basketball wins their opener. UVM women's basketball wins their opener. We've got our Tuesday night Cats chat with Emma Utterback, the UVM women's basketball standout, who had 20 points yesterday in the Cats' victory on the women's side. She'll join us at about 6:30. A lot of Patriots news as well. The general manager meetings have just started down there in Arizona. Are we hearing anything, any scuttle about the Red Sox? We'll hear a lot more from TC on that stuff tomorrow, but maybe we'll set the table a little bit today. Also, I got some news about myself. Nothing groundbreaking, but I am going to be on Vermont Viewpoint tomorrow. I'm going to talk with Danny about what I can expect since he knows that show and Kevin Ellis very well. I got to get ready for my appearance there. So we'll talk about that on the show too. You can get in 802-585-3026. That is the text line number, 802-585-3026. I'm here. Danny's here. You're here. Let go.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
The opening thoughts on the Brady Farkas Show are brought to you by Sticks and Stuff and by Swanton Lumber, Vermont's most complete locally owned home center with locations in Enosburg, Derby, Middlesex, St. Albans, and over in Rouse's Point, New York. They're also at Swanton Lumber, and they're online at sticksandstuff.com. Danny, I realize now I have been in this business now for 9 years, right? February will be year 10. So that means I think I have experience. I'm not the most experienced guy in this business, but I have some experience, and I have experienced enough things to formulate some opinions on this business. And I decided a couple of years ago that there were two topics I was never going to talk about. Okay, I was too tired of them. I was worn out from them. I didn't think they were worth doing anymore. And every time I saw sports shows doing them, I thought they were lazy, and I rallied against them even more. One, LeBron versus Jordan. I refuse to do it. And two, should Pete Rose be in the Hall of Fame? I refuse to do that.
Well, should he? Go on.
I mean, it is a good discussion. I'm just tired of it. Like, I refuse to do it on the air. We are entering now. I'm about to enter a third contender into that force field here of things I'm never going to talk about. I am hoping that this is the last time I'm ever going to bring this up, but we are adding a third contender into the things that I refuse to talk about list in sports radio. And it is Brady versus Belichick. Right? We talked about it when Brady left. We talked about it when Brady left again. We talked about it when Brady came back. We talked about it when the two played each other. I'm over it. I'm tired of it. But here we are. It's being drudged up again. So I am hoping that this will be the last time that I have to speak about it. I am hoping that this will be the last time I do the Brady and Belichick segment, because I've done it 4 or 5 times in the past. I've said the same thing 4 or 5 times, and I'm going to do the same thing on it today, and I hopefully can put it to bed. I am tired of debating Brady and Belichick. I am tired of debating who is more important to the Patriots dynasty, who created who. I'm tired of all of it. But it keeps getting brought up because as the Patriots fall further and further into oblivion, I keep hearing things like, pretty clear it was all Brady. Hey, a Belichick guy. He's not so good without Brady, is he? I saw a tweet today on social media that said, it's pretty clear the Patriot way was just have Tom Brady. Ha, 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 ha. Let me say this, what I hope is once and for all. The two entities, Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, needed each other. And it's as simple as that. If you try to put one above the other, I think you are doing it wrong. And I think you are just trying to create an argument for the sake of taking a side. I don't need to take a side. on this. I'm sorry that you think I'm straddling the fence. I'm sorry that you think I'm not in the position that you would like me to be in or the position that agrees with you. But that is how I feel. Both Tom Brady and Bill Belichick needed each other. And neither one of them would have been as great as they are or as great as they were without the other. And for me, it is that simple. It's pretty clear. Bill Belichick had and has always had a standard of excellence. He has always been an incredibly disciplined coach. He has always required a lot from his players. Well, in order for Bill Belichick's mantras and Bill Belichick's belief system, he needed star players that could execute his belief system and then believe in it themselves and pass it on down to the rest of the roster. That guy was Tom Brady, right? And Bill Belichick has had, I think, some good leaders in his past. He's had some good quarterbacks in his past, whether it be Bernie Kosar in Cleveland or Cam Newton or Drew Bledsoe or Mac Jones. He has had a lot of different quarterbacks. He's had guys that have been very good in their own right, but he's never had a guy who works as hard or who is as disciplined as Tom Brady. Tom Brady had the work ethic that matched Belichick. He had the sacrifice that matched Belichick. He had the discipline that matched Belichick. And because he had it, everybody else on the roster, it filtered down to. It's that simple to me. On the other side, Tom Brady is incredibly detail-oriented. He is incredibly intense. He is incredibly fiery. He needed a head coach that matched all of those things in him. And that was Bill Belichick. They needed each other. They always needed each other. They were always better together. They are certain. Danny, I'm going to make myself seem old, but there is a love song, like a love hip hop song from about 2006. That was a great line. And it said, it was something along the lines of, I'm a movement by myself, but I'm a force when we're together. I'm good all by myself, but you make me better. Even though that was a love song, it applies here as well. Both of these guys are very good on their own, right? Tom Brady won his Super Bowl without Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick has been in the playoffs multiple times in his career without Tom Brady. They are both very good on their own. They both are great on their own. But together, it's Hall of Fame. Together, it's 6 Super Bowls. Together, it was magic. Stop trying to paint one as greater than the other. Stop trying to rate one as more important than the other, and just stop doing it. It's not worth the discussion. Okay? Tom Brady needed a head coach like Bill Belichick. Why did Tom Brady get tired of Bruce Arians? Because Bruce Arians wasn't like him. Everybody thought when Tom Brady went to Tampa, it was going to be, it's a field day, and Tom's going to be in Florida, and it's so laid back, and no risk it, no biscuit, and he's away from Belichick. Turns out, after 1 year, Tom Brady liked a guy like Bill Belichick. Bruce Arians was not Belichick enough for him. That was a problem for Tom Brady. He never could have played for Bruce Arians for 20 years. He could play for Bill Belichick for 20 years. Why? Because their intangibles, their want, their drive, they matched each other. Tom Brady, or rather Bill Belichick, I don't think could coach a different quarterback for 20 years because no quarterback was ever going to be just like Belichick was or is. They are the perfect marriage of traits and intangibles. That's why they last 20 years. That's why nobody lasts 20 years, right? I watched my Seattle Seahawks, a team that was supposed to be a dynasty, dissolve, right? They went from future dynasty to dissolved in like 4 seasons. Russell Wilson could no longer play for Pete Carroll. You know how long they lasted together? 9 years.
Let Russ cook.
9 years is how long they lasted. Tom Brady and Bill Belichick lasted 20. Was it always great? No, it wasn't at the end, but they did last 20 years. Why? Because they were perfect for each other. They needed each other. Stop trying to make it something other than that. I implore you, if somebody at the bar wants to have the debate, tell them what I just told you. You will infuriate them, but it's the truth. If somebody at the water cooler, if your business still has a water cooler, wants to talk about it, don't engage. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. 802-585-3026. Texter says, you are spot on. Thank you. I feel spot on about this. This feels like a debate that is just a debate for the sake of having a debate. I get it. This business was built on debates like this, but I am trying to not make my career on debates like this. I'm willing to have conversations. I'm willing to have debates. I'm willing to, go into uncomfortable places on those debates. I'm not willing to regurgitate the same garbage that every other show is regurgitating. And I'm not willing to go and try to take a side on something when a side does not need to be taken. Okay? Like, if you have a perfect marriage, well, both sides are bringing something to the table, and both sides are bringing something out of the other person. That's what happened here. That's what happened here. Yes, Belichick is not as good without Brady. He doesn't have players like Tom Brady was, right? When Tom Brady did it, then Devin McCourty could do it, and Gronk could do it, and Matthew Slater could do it, and the 53rd guy on the roster could do it. Now you don't have that. It is different. And we talk about the Patriots' leadership maybe not being what it was because there's fewer players that are connected to Brady, that were there for the winning, that saw it work. And now we're just kind of left with Belichick on an island, grasping at the remaining straws of the organization, Slater and David Andrews. And that's pretty much it, right? Joe Cardona, the long snapper. Like, that's kind of where we're at. Lawrence Guy. There's a few, but there's not many. The tentacles of Brady aren't really there anymore. So therefore, Belichick's structure is being whittled away. Brady saw his structure whittled away in Tampa 1 year with Bruce Arians. Yes, they won the Super Bowl. He couldn't do it again. Or maybe it was 2 years with Bruce Arians and the last year with Todd Bowles. I think that was it. 2 years with Bruce Arians, and that was enough. Right? The two, no risk it, no biscuit was fun for a little while. It wasn't fun for a long time. It's not a debate worth having. 802-585-3026. John in Moncton says, well said, certain skill sets and habits mesh well. High standards and character matter, like Auerbach and the great Celtics teams of the 60s. Danny, are you well-versed in these Celtics teams of the 60s?
I know they won a lot.
Yeah, I'm not really well-versed either.
That's all you need to know. They won championships.
I'm going to take John and Moncton's word for it, that everything was harmonious there with John or with Auerbach and Bill Russell and Havlicek, et cetera. And there we go. We'll talk about your Celtics, by the way. Tough loss yesterday. Good game. Tough loss. We'll talk about it in the 6 o'clock hour. Let's stick on Belichick here for a little while. Interesting note here. I said on Friday that I thought Bill Belichick could end up as the head coach of the Los Angeles Chargers. Or at least that's the job that I would want. There's all this talk about Washington. And then yesterday we played the Albert Breer soundbite about why all the reasons he would want Washington. And I agree with Breer. There are some enticing things there. The going home factor is a big one. But still, I still think the Chargers is a better job. People are agreeing with me. Emmett Golden of ESPN Radio last night says he thinks Belichick could land in L.A.
Staley's, he's going to end up getting fired. And then they're going to fire Bill or mutually part ways. You know, they're going to make it sound good. And then the Chargers are going to go, look, we got a good defense. We got a quarterback. We got everything we need to be successful. The only thing we don't have is a great head coach. So you put the greatest head coach of all time, arguably, on that team. Boom. Back to the Patriot way. Now the Chargers way.
If I were Bill Belichick, I would want the Chargers job. I think the Chargers job is incredibly appealing. Okay. The Chargers job is going to be the best opening that there is because there's a great quarterback there in Justin Herbert. Now, the Washington stuff that Breer mentioned that we talked about yesterday is all real. It is home for him. It is a historic franchise. It is in the NFC East, which we know holds a dear place in his heart because of the historic nature of the division. That is all true. The Chargers is the best job that will be available. And if Bill Belichick is available, either by trade or by, firing to then free agency, the Chargers should be interested. The Chargers should be calling him. The Chargers should want them. You look at a pass rush there with Joey Bosa and with Khalil Mack. You look at a great playmaker on defense in Derwin James. You look at an offense that has Eckler and has Keenan Allen still, and has Mike Williams, who's hopefully going to be healthy next year, and Herbert. The Chargers are the closest team. And for as good as we think the AFC West is, there are a lot of questions about it, right? Vegas is a dumpster fire. Denver is average at best. Yes, you'd have to compete with Mahomes, but Belichick has had success with Mahomes. I wouldn't be scared off by the AFC West in the way I was a couple of years ago. Right, we talked about Tom Brady maybe going to play for the Raiders, and I was like, do you really want to go and hang out with Mahomes for a couple of years? No. Belichick, I think, is fine with that. So if I were the Chargers, I'd want him. If I were Belichick, I'd want them, although I get the appeal from Washington specifically because of all the reasons Breer mentioned. We're going to talk more about the Patriots, more about the coaching future, more about Belichick in the 6 o'clock hour after CBS News. But it was opening night last night at Patrick Gym, and the UVM men's basketball team beat Merrimack 67-55. I wrote down on social media, I hope Danny saw them, 13 distinctive takeaways from the Catamounts game. A lot of good, some not so much. I'll tell you a lot of those takeaways next on DEV.
Granite, known for its strength, lies hidden deep in the earth and reveals itself only when the softer layers are worn away. At Rock of Ages, they dig deep to unveil the strength and toughness of the granite that lies below. Just like these college athletes dig deep to reveal the power within themselves. Rock of Ages is a proud supporter of Norwich hockey and reminds you that nothing is stronger or more beautiful than buried granite from Rock of Ages. Visit them on the web at rockofages.com.
If your winter tires are tired, poor, or otherwise not ready to face this winter, bring your vehicle to us at Waterbury Service Center. We have the right tires for winters, studded, all season. From tiny hybrids to 3/4-ton trucks. We wash, clean, mount, and balance your tires. Stop in today and find the tires you need and the service you deserve. We're Waterbury Service Center, helping you through another long winter. Full service repair right on Main Street in Waterbury. Thank you.
Just because you're away from your radio or out of our broadcast range doesn't mean you have to miss out. Listen live on the WDEV stream, brought to you by AARP Vermont. WDEV's morning, midday, and afternoon news services, Vermont Viewpoint, and the Brady Farkas Show can all be found on the WDEV stream at WDEVradio.com. Brought to you by AARP Vermont, helping Vermonters protect themselves from identity theft and fraud. More information at aarp.org/fraudwatch network.
WDEV also serves the Northeast Kingdom at 101.9 W270BR Island Pond. Tracy Schamberger describes her experience advertising with WDEV.
When WDEV presented Age Well with an opportunity to co-present a weekly live interview, we jumped at the opportunity. We see a direct increase in calls to our helpline because of our spot on WDEV, which is exactly what we had hoped for. We have experienced incredible results.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
Your chance to be part of the show is on the text line at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Danny, we've been doing this show together now for about 3.5 months. Let's see how well you know me. Do you know what I'm going to ask you for here? Do you know what I'm going to ask you for?
Some music, probably.
Little hoop music. You got it for me? You got it queued up already?
I don't.
All right. So you don't.
I thought I knew you well.
You don't know me as well as I was hoping at this point, but 3.5 months is not 3.5 years, so I'm sure we'll get there eventually. But cue me up some hoop music when you got it. I am pumped. Catamount Hoops was back yesterday.
We're talking NBA and NBC music?
Yes. I don't care. Always NBA on NBC music. When there's hoops to talk about, that's the music that gets us going. It's also the Blood of a Champion by Nelly riff there.
That's
from
right.
A bunch of years ago. So you watch this game, right? I know we get home a little later, but you watch this game, right?
Most of it, yes.
Okay, because by the time we get home, it's 7:30 or so. So I did listen to a little bit of the game, and then I watched most of it by the time I got home as well. UVM men, let's start there. They beat Merrimack 67-55. I wrote down 13 takeaways from this game on my own social media channel at WDEV Radio Brady on Twitter. Let me start here. We talked about it yesterday at the end of the show. I said I thought UVM should win this game by double figures. They did, right? You win by double figures, even if it's not always pretty, and this one wasn't, there's an accomplishment there. When you win by double figures, that's an accomplishment. Catamounts win this game by 12. They were up 16 at the half. They were up 15-2 at one point. Merrimack made their own run. UVM got up again on an 8 or 10 point run, 8-10. So this was a game of runs, but eventually UVM ended up winning it by 12. It wasn't always pretty. Merrimack's zone did make life tough for UVM, especially in the second half, but they did end up winning by 12. When you win by double figures, you defend home court against a team you should beat. I give you credit for that. So it's a good way to start the season there for John Becker and his team. 2, this team is very, very athletic. Okay. This is the most athletic UVM team I can remember in years. And I don't want to be prisoner of the moment because we're only talking about one game here, but you could see it instantly. This team has a level of speed and a level of bounce that it hasn't had in the past. Iliri Iofalia, we see what he can do. How about what Shamir Bogues can do? Shamir Bogues, a guy who we'll get to in a second, who I thought was more of a defensive player, and he was an all-defensive player in the WAC where he came from at Tarleton State. Put up 19 points yesterday. He was athletic, outside and inside. And then Sam Alamutu, a guy who didn't play a lot last year. He played a lot yesterday, and he is crazy athletic. Danny, give me UVM number 4, Alamutu, making his presence felt.
Back to Deloney. Alamutu at the elbow. Back to Long. Drives. Gets into the teeth. Kicks it back out for Alamutu. Long. Jumper. Deloney. No. Alamutu at the tip. Good of the foul.
I mean, that was Sam Alamutu jumping over several bodies and putting that ball back up in flight for a layup. I mean, he didn't dunk on people, but he jumped over like 3 people to get that ball up off the glass. That was an insane play. This team has not had that, right? We talked a lot last year about how they had to be kind of process-oriented, right? How they had to be good in the half court, how they had to kind of move the ball from point A to point B and let it land in someone's hand for a good shot. They're still going to do all that stuff this year because that's a calling card of UVM. But this team's got an athleticism to them. On the offensive glass, on the defensive end, they are long. They are very, very quick. The athleticism is something that really, really excites me. It's something we haven't seen in the last couple of years. On the Alamutu note, he was the most impressive player to me yesterday. Yes, he only scored 4 points, but he was the most impressive UVM player to me. Sam Alamutu played 21 minutes yesterday. He led the team with 9 rebounds. Okay, he played 11 minutes less than Aaron Deloney. He had led the team in rebounds with 9. He had 3 assists. He had 4 points. He was 2 of 2 from the floor. You talk about being efficient offensively, 2 offensive rebounds. That was tied for the team lead. 9 total rebounds, 3 assists. He had a block as well. The crazy athleticism. I go back to a couple of years ago, and Danny, I'll take care of this audio cut. December 3rd, 2020. We got word that Sam Alamutu was committing to UVM. Elias Sabayat is a Canadian basketball expert. He was on this show. This is what he told me on December 3rd of 2020 about Sam Alamutu.
I think what Vermont has here is a potential NBA prospect. I think he's the highest level prospect that they'll see that they've got.
Now, look, that might be hyperbole. He's not an NBA prospect, at least not at this point. He hasn't panned out to be a great college basketball player yet. That very well can change this year. But that was the narrative on him by the Canadian recruiting services when he came here. And we saw the athleticism that accompanied that narrative yesterday. I am pumped. Sam Alamutu redshirted his freshman year. I thought maybe yet last year we'd see a big bump from him. We really didn't. This year, maybe we will. 21 minutes, crazy athleticism, crazy hustle, efficient offensively. And they mentioned it on the ESPN3 broadcast yesterday. Looks like he's just moving more confidently, right? Like you can move fast, but not kind of be a chicken with your head cut off. This year, Sam Alamutu is moving well. He knows exactly where he's going. He knows his spots, and he was all over the place yesterday. He was the most impressive player on the floor to me yesterday in 21 minutes of action. How about the guy who led the team in scoring, Shamir Bogues? 31 minutes played. Danny, he was good inside and outside. He was 7 of 7 from the floor at one point. He was 7 of 9 for the game. He had 17 points in the first half. He had 19 for the game. He did it outside. He did it inside. Give me UVM number 1.
Loretto. Stinson trying to ball hawk. Deloney skips into the corner. Bogues catch and release. 3. Count it. Great play by Aaron.
I thought that Shamir Bogues was mainly a defensive player. Not the case, Brady. Right? He was an all-defensive team selection in the WAC at Tarleton State, but now 19 points. Is he going to get that every game? I don't know, but he got it yesterday. He's got the ability to get it. He can be a guy who gets you double figures. That's going to be a higher ceiling offensively than I thought. Great debut from a guy there who's making his first appearance in Catamount Country. Continuing on. Okay, defense, pretty good. Rebounding, good. We heard rebounding would be a problem because of Nick Fiorillo's injury. They're not that big. They are long, but they're not that big. They out-rebounded Merrimack. They had, I want to say, 7 offensive rebounds in this game. No, they had 12 offensive rebounds in this game, right? So they out-rebounded Merrimack overall by 8. They had 12 offensive rebounds. They were good on the glass. They were good at limiting Merrimack to, Merrimack had a couple too many offensive rebounds themselves, but by and large, UVM good on the glass. Only one player for Merrimack had more than 4 rebounds in this game. So good job overall on the glass. It can always be better, but a good job overall. Let's see. What else did I say here? This is the one that surprised me. We didn't see as much of all the new guys as I thought, right? UVM played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. They played 10 guys, but Brent Mills is a 5th-year player. He only played 9 minutes. Seth Job was an exciting freshman. He only played 7. Jace Rockamore is a guy who's a transfer who played at San Diego. He played 5 minutes. I thought we'd see more of the new guys. We saw a lot of Bogues and a lot of TJ Long, the transfer portal guys. We didn't see much Mills, and we barely saw Rockamore. That surprised me. I thought those guys, being more experienced players, would have had more minutes under their belt. Maybe they'll get there. They weren't there yesterday. That surprised me. On that note, the scoring depth has to be better. The bench yesterday for UVM had 10 points. TJ Hurley had 6 of them. Alamutu had 4. Nobody else had any. You're not going to get by with just your starters doing damage. It's great that they had 4 players at double figures. I will always take that. I don't know that that's repeatable every night. You're going to need some bench guys to step up. Yesterday, they didn't really get it. Okay, Hurley 6 points, Alamutu 4. Nobody else scored. So a lot of guys played. Not everybody was productive. Mills took 1 shot. Joba took 1 shot. Rockamore took 0 shots. On the rebound, those 3 players had 4 total rebounds. Those players had no assists. Those players had 4 turnovers. So guys stepped on the floor. Not everybody played particularly well, though. Matt Veretto was awesome. Okay? Matt Veretto's a guy we didn't talk as much as we should about in the offseason. We talked a lot about Deloney. We talked a lot about the new players. We didn't talk as much about Veretto. He's a sweet stroking lefty. He only was 2 of 7 yesterday from 3, but he did hit 2 threes, had a couple of rebounds, 5 of 12 from the floor overall, played well in that zone there, getting kind of the foul line and then getting out. Zone gave UVM a bit of trouble. They won't see a lot of it. They handled it well enough yesterday to get by. Veretto was a big reason why. One disappointment out of yesterday was Illyri Iofalia, right? A guy we talked a lot about. We talked a lot about the Illyri hype train. I'm still on that train, but he only played 11 minutes yesterday. He only scored 3 points. Why? He was in foul trouble. We talked last year about Iofalia. Uncoordinated is the wrong word, but he's so long and gangly. Got a lot of moving parts there. It's hard to keep all that in control. He's going to have to keep it in control so we can stay on the floor. He played only 11 minutes. He had 6 rebounds. The sky is the limit for him defensively and on the glass. If he plays 30 minutes, he gets 12 rebounds. He might be the best rebounder in the conference since Jameel Warney, who was an NBA prospect out of Stony Brook a couple of years ago. So if Iofalia can stay on the court, he could be excellent. He only had 3 points, though. You got to find a way to stay on the floor. All in all, it was a great opening night. I loved the doubleheader with the women's team. We'll talk with Emma Utterback about that on the women's side of things at 6:30. I loved it. I thought it was great. Now it's on to the next D3 game against Plattsburgh State. That game does almost nothing for me, but it is the next one on the schedule. And the Catamounts are 1-0. I'm pumped about it. It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. We'll get back to Bill Belichick, his future with the Patriots, what people are saying, and could the Patriots be looking in a different direction than even I thought? We'll talk about it next on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM.
96.1 WDEV FM Warren, 96.5 W243 AT Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Monica Ricks. It's election day in dozens of states across the country, and CBS's Michael George is following some of the big races for us.
Voters flocked to the polls in Ohio with the future of abortion rights in the state on the line.
I'm of an age that I know what happens if you can't do this legally. So it's like a no-brainer for me.
But opponents say the measure, known as Issue 1, goes too far.
So it's incredibly dangerous and concerning that this would be within our Constitution and there's nothing we could do about it.
Gubernatorial races are also happening in Kentucky and Mississippi today. Virginia and Pennsylvania have state legislature races, and Rhode Island's filling a congressional seat. The White House confirms more civilians are getting out of Gaza as the war marks a somber milestone. Reporter Paul Adams is with the BBC.
Israelis, meanwhile, have been marking 1 month since the attacks of the 7th of October, in which around 1,400 people were killed. There was a minute's silence in Tel Aviv, where a giant table was set for 240 people. The number of hostages, Israelis and foreigners, still being held inside the Gaza Strip.
Meantime, investigators haven't ruled out hate crimes charges in the death of a Jewish protester near L.A. Ventura County Sheriff Jim Freihoff.
During the investigation at the scene, deputies determined that the altercation with Mr. Kessler, he fell backward and struck his head on the ground. What exactly transpired prior to Mr. Kessler falling backward isn't crystal clear right now.
So far, no arrests have been made. The Supreme Court heard arguments today in a gun rights case involving those with domestic violence restraining orders. Solicitor General Elizabeth Preligar.
Guns and domestic abuse are a deadly combination. As this court has said, all too often, the only difference between a battered woman and a dead woman is the presence of a gun.
Super fog caused another deadly pileup near New Orleans.
One person died and at least 8 others were hurt in a series of accidents on Interstate 10 on the eastern edge of New Orleans. Drivers suddenly found themselves in thick fog and smoke from a marsh wildfire.
CBS's Jim Kursula reports 7 people died in similar circumstances 2 weeks ago. Scientists unveiled the first pictures from Europe's Euclid telescope. It was launched 4 months ago from Florida and now shows us a shimmering collection of galaxies. And Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen warned Republicans today against cuts to IRS funding.
Playing politics with IRS funding is unacceptable. Cutting it would be damaging and irresponsible.
On Wall Street, the Dow added 56 points. This is CBS News.
You don't need a job platform, you need a hiring partner. Indeed lets you schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from one place. Start at Indeed.com/credits.
It's easy to think all money managers are pretty much the same, but at Fisher Investments, we're clearly different.
Different? How? You sell high commission investment products, right?
No, Fisher Investments doesn't sell any commission-based investment products.
Well, you must earn commissions on trades.
Nope, never at Fisher. We're a fiduciary, obligated to act in our client's best interest. It's the highest standard of care for a financial advisor.
How do you know what's in their best interest?
We get to know our clients and then tailor a portfolio based on their goals and needs.
But you probably sneak in some hidden and layered fees.
No, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Wow, you really do look out for your clients.
That's because our top priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. It might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments and securities involve the risk of loss.
A ceremonial opening today in Britain.
The state opening of Britain's Parliament, an ancient ritual, but this year with a new protagonist.
It is mindful of a legacy of service and devotion to this country set by my beloved mother, the late Queen, that I deliver this, the first King's speech in over 70 years.
King Charles III honoring the late Queen Elizabeth, affirming the continuity of Britain's monarchy and its democracy. Vicky Barker, CBS News, London.
U.S. regulators are urging drivers not to bling out their cars, especially the steering wheel. Metal or plastic emblems with rhinestones and other decorations can keep airbags from deploying correctly, and if a crash happens, drivers can get seriously hurt. The feds say at least one driver even lost sight in an eye after a decal covered in gems dislodged from the wheel. Monica Ricks, CBS News.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. We'll be up until 7 o'clock. Jazz with George Thomas will follow us, and then Eye on the World with John Batchelor. We're about 25 minutes away from Emma Utterback joining us. The UVM women's basketball standout had 20 points in their season open victory yesterday over Miami of Ohio. So every other week, it's going to be Aaron Deloney from the men's team or Emma Utterback from the women's team. So it'll be Emma's first time on our show this season. We've talked to her a bunch in the past, so we're excited to have this partnership with her as well. So 6:30 tonight for that. Danny, tomorrow I've got a hugely busy day all of a sudden. So I am already on Wednesdays doing the midday news service. So you and I will be here from noon to 1, and then we'll have the show from 4 to 5:30 for the news, and then this show from 5:30 till 7. So that's already 4 hours of radio for me tomorrow and 4 hours for radio of you, being here with me. Well, I'm going to have a 5th hour of radio tomorrow because Kevin Ellis has finally invited me on to Vermont Viewpoint, and he wants me to stay on an entire hour. I thought this was like a 10-minute thing. No. He says, I want it to be an entire hour. So I will drink my tea, have my honey, and be prepared for a 5th hour on the radio tomorrow, excuse me. You have produced Vermont Viewpoint a bunch of times in your life. You don't do it every day, but an hour with Kevin Ellis. What should I be expecting here?
Oh, well, you never know with Kevin, right?
I mean, he's given me like some basic topics that he wants to talk about, all of which I could do, but I don't know if he's going to throw a curveball at me. Is he going to play like hard-hitting journalism at me here, or is he going to be tossing me softballs?
I feel like he wants to be more conversational, but you never know with Kevin.
Okay. Are you going to be there? Are you producing tomorrow?
I am not scheduled to produce tomorrow, but I might come in a little early just to hear that.
So I am on from 10 to 11, which is the whole last hour. The whole last hour I'm on, and then I'll be on again at noon for the midday news service. But yeah, so me and Kevin Ellis tomorrow talking sports, going back and forth from noon to 1 or from 10 to 11 tomorrow. So,
but at least he got back to you this time.
Yes, at least. Well, last time he got back to me. Last time he asked me to come on, I said yes, and he didn't call me. So we'll see if he actually calls me tomorrow, but I'm looking forward to it. Glenn in Brookfield says, Brady, your earlier segment on Tom Brady and Bill Belichick needing each other was some of your best work. Thanks for the show. Much appreciated. Much appreciated. Text says, get over yourself. You can handle it. What am I under myself? I'm just saying it's 5 hours.
You can handle
of radio.
Kevin's questions. You probably can.
True, I can handle 5 hours of radio. My very first show in radio, we used to be on from 2 o'clock until 7. Like we were on from 2 o'clock until 7. I've done 5 hours. Show. It was a very long sports show. But I think we replayed part of the show from 6 till 7. Like I think we only had to do 4 hours, but there was like a replay of the best of from 6 till 7. But nonetheless, the show is billed as 5 hours. So I've done 5 hours before. I'm more just saying, get over myself. I'm not under myself with this. I'm just wondering about what kind of questions Kevin's going to ask me. And Danny knows Kevin better. I see Kevin in the hallway all the time. I talk to him. We're very conversational. I like Kevin. I've never been a guest on his show. That's all I want to know is what kind of stuff Kevin's going to ask. My goodness, the pitchforks are out today on this. So I prefer Glenn and Brookfield's message about saying that was some of my best work. So thank you very much. Let's talk a little bit more about Bill Belichick right now, right? A lot of stuff kind of going about Belichick. This one surprised me. I read this earlier today in the New York Post that Robert Kraft considers Mike Vrabel as his home run hire if there's a coaching change made, right? I talked a lot yesterday about how I think Gerard Mayo looks like he's going to be the guy in Foxborough. Maybe he's not the guy. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe the things that have happened, maybe they love Gerard Mayo, but they love Mike Vrabel more. So the Titans might fire Mike Vrabel, right? They look like an organization kind of in a free fall. They could look to trade Mike Vrabel. I don't know what his contract situation is if the Patriots really want him. But I found that report interesting, right? The tea leaves have kind of indicated that Mayo was the guy. They've spoken about him glowingly. Kraft delivered the statement. They gave him the contract extension. They kept him from interviewing for other jobs. It's looked like Gerard Mayo was going to be the guy. This report says that Mike Vrabel is the home run hire. And I guess my question for you would be twofold. One, from a Patriots perspective, would that make you happy? And two, do you think Mike Vrabel would actually do it? I'll address the first one first. I continue to say this. If you are firing Bill Belichick, it is my preference to not have a Patriots disciple in the chair. I have just kind of assumed that Mayo would be the guy. So therefore, I've kind of put that take on the back burner. But if you're telling me it's not going to be Mayo, who you apparently have groomed for this job, then I'm not that interested in Vrabel either. I want the next Kyle Shanahan, the next Sean McVay. I want somebody who is offensively minded, who can get the best out of my quarterback, whoever that quarterback is. Whether that quarterback is Mac Jones or whether that quarterback is a rookie quarterback or that quarterback is a transplanted signee or is Mac Jones for a little bit and then moves on to somebody else. I want the next guy that can work with a quarterback. That is my preference. If we're not going to have Bill Belichick, I would like the next McVay, the next Shanahan, the next Kevin O'Connell. Look at what Kevin O'Connell has done in Minnesota. He's gotten the best out of Kirk Cousins. He led Kirk Cousins to 13 wins last year. He got the best out of Josh Dobbs on 2 days of practice. Okay, so Kevin O'Connell seems to know something about offense. I want the next one of those guys if it's not Belichick. If you're telling me it's a Patriots disciple, then I guess I just assume give it to Mayo because he seems well liked. He's been in the building and everything is kind of resigned me to him being the guy. If it's not going to be, if you're willing to go outside of Mayo, then go way outside the family. I don't need more Patriots disciples, right? If Belichick's gone, I need a break from that way of doing things, from that way of thinking. I need some progressive thought, not somebody who is mired in Bill's image. I just resign myself to it being Mayo and hope that he's good. If it's not going to be Mayo, I don't need it to be Vrabel either. Now, let's address part two of this. If you are Mike Vrabel and the Patriots want you, could you take over for Bill Belichick? 802-585-3026. Danny, the answer is that these opportunities only come on once, and this is show business. It's not show friends, right? That is the answer to this, I am sure. But I'm also sure that that would be really, really difficult for Mike Vrabel to do. Okay? Again, you only get one chance at your dream job. You only get one chance to coach the New England Patriots. You only get one chance to take over and have Robert Kraft. I get it. But there's got to be a lot of loyalty there for Mike Vrabel to Bill Belichick, and I think that would be really hard to overcome. If the Patriots fire Bill Belichick, could Mike Vrabel really do that to his old coach? Really do that to a guy that really has given him everything? Everything that Mike Vrabel has, he owes to Bill Belichick. The money made in his career, the Super Bowl rings that he has, the credibility that he has created that led him into his coaching career, that has led him to these opportunities. It's all because of Bill Belichick. Could Mike Vrabel take over for Belichick under these circumstances where Belichick is fired? It would be one thing if Bill Belichick retired and said, you know what, I want to step aside. I want to do what's best for the organization. And by the way, I think you should hire Mike Vrabel. That would be one thing. But if this is a hostile takeover of the Patriots and Belichick loses his job and the guy who he created is then given that job, is that a situation that Mike Vrabel would want the job under? Right? There are times you want a job, but there are times you don't want a job under certain circumstances. This might be one of those times. Could I do it? My gut tells me no, but I'm not in that position, right? I don't have $7 million being thrown at me. I don't have that being the only head coaching job potentially thrown at me. I don't know what situation Vrabel would be in, so it would be really hard for me to say unequivocally what I would do. I can tell you it would be something that would really be tough for me, though. I mean, Danny, if they said to me, if they said to you, like, hey, Danny, we love what you're doing. We know you learned under Brady. We know Brady helped you get this job here. We know you worked with Brady. But, hey, by the way, we want to fire Brady and hire you in that job. I at least imagine that would be something for you to think about and then put it on a situation times 100, given what Belichick and Vrabel have shared together and what they've accomplished together.
Yeah, I don't think I would want that.
I mean, at least I would hope it would be hard for you. I hope you wouldn't walk all over me like that.
It'd be like Greeny walking all over
Golick. It's a little bit different there because, like, those guys worked together always. It wasn't like Vrabel who worked for Belichick. I just think it would be very difficult. I think Vrabel is a hallmark of the Patriots culture is loyalty, right? We have seen this. This is why Belichick he only hires his kids and his former players. And it's why he keeps hiring O'Brien and Judge and Patricia and McDaniels. Loyalty is clearly a huge thing to him. And I'm going to imagine that the guys who Belichick loves have loyalty also. And they do have loyalty to him. I think it would be really difficult for Mike Vrabel to accept the job with the Patriots under those conditions. It would likely be hard for Gerard Mayo to accept the job under those conditions as well. But at least Gerard Mayo has already been in the building. At least Gerard Mayo has already been with these players. He's already built the foundation. I think it would be hard for him also. I think it would be harder for Mike Vrabel. 802-585-3026. Kyle in South Burlington says, there shouldn't be a lot of pressure on Vrabel. He's not taking over a Super Bowl team. That's not really what this is about. This is about, can you go over the head of the guy that gave you everything? Can you disrespect the guy that gave you all of your opportunities? Can you, can you get over the guy who gave you opportunity? Are you willing to do that? And we see it all the time in business, right? Like I'll tell you a story, and this is, not the same, but it's an interesting story from my life. I was coaching junior college baseball. Okay. You know that. I did that for 2 seasons at Hudson Valley Community College. I brought in a guy to be our hitting coach. I was the pitching coach. We needed a hitting coach. I recommended a guy. That guy stabbed me in the back. He evidently had no problem walking over the guy that had given him the opportunity. He never would have had that job. Danny, this is a true story. I don't know if I've ever told you this. We were friends. I got him a job as a hitting coach. Our head coach left in the season, right? He had an issue come up. He had to leave. I should have been promoted to the interim head coach job by virtue of the fact that I had been there longer. I had recruited all those kids. He went over me to the administration and lobbied for the job and ended up getting it. That's fine. Then he screwed me for the entirety of the season, talked down to me in front of the players, discredited me to the players, wanted to prove that he was the alpha male, wanted the guys on the team to respond to him and not me. He knew guys had loyalty to me. He screwed me with them so they'd have loyalty to him. He didn't even invite me to the team dinner at the end of the season. Held a team dinner, didn't even invite me to it, just to make me look bad. Well, I gave him his first opportunity. He had no problem walking all over me. He ended up getting the head coach job full time, not retaining me on the staff just because he wanted to. And then he became a Division I assistant and then is now, present day, a Division I head baseball coach. He only got into coaching because of me. He owes everything he has, as far as I'm concerned, to the first opportunity that I was willing to give him. And he had no problem stepping over me. Some people do, some people don't. I have to imagine that Mike Vrabel would be a guy who thinks twice about stepping over Bill Belichick. about biting the hand that's fed him, right? And this guy and I had only a handful of years of experience together. We were friends, but our relationship only lasted a few years. The relationship between Bill Belichick and Mike Vrabel is 20 years in running at least. I'd have to imagine that there is a different dynamic there. Yeah, you probably want the job. Do you want it this way? There's going to be other jobs open in the offseason. Patriots might be one of them. Chicago could be open. And let's see. I mean, we already know that Vegas is open. There's going to be others. Do you want one of those jobs just for the sake of not screwing over your mentor? It's the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. Yeah, Diddy, have I ever told you that baseball story before?
I don't remember that one.
That's a good one. It still makes me angry to this day.
Well,
it was
good one is one way to put it.
It was like 8 years ago, 10 years ago or something. It was 8 years ago. Still to this day, it makes me angry. I want this guy's I told you, Division I head coach. I want them to go 0-80 or 0-65. I think you can play 65 games at Division I. I want them to go 0-65, and I want him to get fired. I wish nothing but bad things baseball-wise for his team. I want them to go 0-65. I hope they don't win a game all season. And I hope every player transfers. I don't want to see this guy have success. Not at all. So, but yeah, it still gets me fired up. So
clearly,
yeah, I hate this guy and I hate what he did to me because you know what's, it's so crazy. Like, I really do wonder what my life would have been like if I had stuck on the baseball coaching path, because truly, like, here is what happened. So I was working in sports information. I was at Norwich. I did that for a year. Then I went to Misericordia University, which is a Catholic school in Pennsylvania, and I was coaching baseball and doing sports information kind of simultaneously. I ended up moving home back to Albany, and I realized, like, I want to coach baseball. Like, that was my love. That's what I wanted to do. So I got the job at Hudson Valley Community College. Danny, it paid me $2,000 a year, not a season, a year, $2,000. So I needed a job that paid more money. I got the job at the radio station, and I started out doing a lot of the things that you started out doing, pressing buttons, running boards, engineering things. And I started to kind of move up at the station in the way that you are, or the way that you have, rather. And I was on these kind of simultaneous tracks, and I was getting, I got the pitching coach job at the community college, and I was really good at recruiting. Like, I was really good at recruiting. I hope that you guys think I'm good at talking. I imagine I could sell a college to a family, and I was really good at it. And then I was just like on these tracks that were simultaneous, right? I was part-time at both jobs, and I thought I was good at both jobs. Well, the baseball job came crashing down for me once I got screwed over by this guy. Like, he didn't bring me back. I didn't want to go back. And then at that point, I decided to just let radio run with it. That's kind of how my career was decided for me. I wonder what would have happened to my life and my career if I had kept the baseball thing going. Maybe I'd be a Division I head coach right now. I don't know. I don't know, truly. But I often have wondered about what would have happened if I had kept coaching. I love what I do, and I think everything worked out the way it was supposed to work out. Like, I couldn't imagine not doing this job, but I do wonder what would have happened. So, all right, 802-585-3026. Do you think it would be appropriate for Belichick, for Vrabel to ask Belichick's blessing if he was offered the job? It would be appropriate, but I still don't know that I would feel good about it. Like, I mean, yeah, he probably should, he probably would, but I don't know that it would be, like, I don't think he would feel good no matter what. Texter says, great story, love it. I'm glad my heartache at the time has turned into a great radio story for you to consume. So, there was something else I wanted to get to, and I know we got Emma Utterback coming up in a couple of minutes here, but let me get to this one, Danny. So, Mac Jones is not a great quarterback. We talked a lot about that. I've talked all about his limitations athletically. There is a story that I think is now completely run its course that I don't want to hear about anymore. And I think the guys at WEEI are kind of railroading Mac on this. So, like, a couple weeks ago, this story came out that Dan Orlovsky from ESPN texts Mac Jones semi-regularly, right? The two have a good relationship. The two talk. Mac picks Orlovsky's brain for things. Orlovsky will send Mac texts. And the guys at WEEI were caught off guard by that. Like, whoa, that's kind of weird. Like, does Orlovsky do that for others? What makes Mac so special? Why does Mac reach out? Blah, 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 blah. So the guys at WEEI got that nugget. Then they asked Orlovsky about it. Now they're asking Mac about it for a second time, a third time. And I'm just kind of over this story, right? So, Danny, they asked him about Orlovsky again yesterday. Play me Mac Jones number 2.
Like I talked about, I mean, there's people that you can talk to and try and get advice from just from what they see. And I'm always trying to get better, always trying to improve. And whether that's my, family, the coaches here, players around the league, whatever. So I'm always going to try and get better.
Look, I had an initial issue with their relationship only from the standpoint of I wish Orlovsky would have told us that there was a relationship there, right? Like Orlovsky and Mac are clearly friends. So I wonder if Orlovsky's judgment on Mac or his analysis on Mac is a little bit clouded by their friendship. So I wish I had known that all the times that Orlovsky was defending Mac, that it might come from a place of that they're friends, that they have a relationship. Like I wish I had known that, but beyond that, I don't care. And for these guys at EEI, who I also like, right? Jones and Arcand with Mego, or Jones and Mego with Arcand, excuse me, I do like them. For them to keep hammering this story feels unnecessary. Mac Jones is a professional athlete. Professional athletes want to get better. Okay. And why are you kind of picking at Mac reaching out to Orlovsky, right? Mac Jones could reach out to Nick Saban. Hey, what do you see? Hey, what did I do there that I'm not doing here? Would you have a problem with that? Okay, Mac Jones could reach out to the Patriots just played Washington. How many old Alabama teammates are on Washington that Mac could say, hey, man, hey, you just played us, you just beat us. What are you noticing about me? That happens all the time. We see guys, De'Aaron Fox with the Kings spent all offseason working out with Steph Curry. These are guys who played each other in the playoffs last year, who are trying to battle for Western Conference supremacy in the NBA, and they worked out all offseason together. Do you have a problem with that? De'Aaron Fox is clearly trying to get better. He's associated himself with a guy who thinks he can do that. Guys in baseball have off-season private hitting coaches all off-season. Guys are going to drive line. Guys are going to private pitching coaches. Guys have 10 different hitting coaches they work with that aren't related to the team. Do you have a problem with that? So Mac calls Orlovsky and says, hey, man, you study quarterbacks. You're watching this film. I know you're watching it. I know you're watching me. What are you picking up on? I don't have a problem with that. I wish I had known that Orlovsky and Mac were friends just so I knew where Orlovsky's kind of analysis came from. But beyond that, their relationship doesn't bother me at all. I mean, there's a million former players in the media. There's a million of guys with former teammates in the media. They're all talking. This is a fraternity of athletes. They're all talking. They all want to get better. They're all asking for help. They're all looking for an edge. I mean, don't you think? We see the Patriots sign Will Grier the day before they play the Cowboys. Don't you think they're asking, hey, what is Dallas doing here? This isn't how the business works. So these guys need to let go of the Mac Jones Orlovsky story. It does absolutely nothing for me at this point. All right. It is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM, at WDEVradio.com. UVM women's basketball had a victory yesterday, beating Miami of Ohio by 12 points. Emma Utterback, one of their stars, was at the center of that victory with a 20-point effort. She joins us for her first bi-weekly conversation with us next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Hello, my name is Kelly Elwell, nurse practitioner. I oversee Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice's palliative care program, and I am here to help you. Palliative care at CVHHH helps Central Vermonters living with serious or life-limiting illness, such as cancer, lung or heart disease, and dementia, access the care, resources, and emotional support they need. People who receive palliative care services from CVHHH can continue to receive curative treatments such as chemo and radiation therapy. They do not need to be homebound or be a current CVHHH patient. As a palliative care provider, I am here to help you and your family in patient-centered holistic care. I can help you manage your pain and symptoms in coordination with your existing care team, support you to understand and articulate your goals of care, write an advanced care plan, and connect you with the resources you need. It is my goal to help you maintain your independence and experience the highest possible quality of life. Central Vermont Home Health and Hospice is here for you. I would love the opportunity to support you and your family. Please visit cvhhh.org for more information and to schedule a consultation.
When it's 4th and goal, Quick Lane Tire and Auto in Hardwick knows you have to be fast and reliable to score. Put more time in your day with less waiting. Whether it's oil changes, tires, inspection, free battery tests, whatever, Quick Lane prices are competitive or lower than you'll find elsewhere. Quick Lane Tire and Auto continues safety and sanitation protocols. Quick Lane, 802-472-7500 on Route 15 in East Hardwick.
Are your tires ready for the winter? Don't wait. Call Snowfire Auto to schedule your tire changeover today and experience the exceptional service they're known for. And if you need new tires, Snowfire Auto has you covered with Cooper tires for safety, value, and top quality performance. Plus, you may be eligible for rebates on purchases through the end of November. Trust your neighbors at Snowfire Auto and Cooper Tires for a safer winter drive. Schedule your service today. Snowfire Auto, Route 2 Waterbury, snowfireauto.com.
Have you been thinking about installing a heat pump but didn't know where to start? Mitsubishi Electric Heating and Air Conditioning heat pumps provide year-round comfort with air filtration and precise temperature control. Plus, generous incentives and rebates are now available. Contact the Diamond Elite certified technicians at the Energy Co-op of Vermont for a free quote at ecvt.net.
Use less, save more at the Energy Co-op of Vermont.
Did you know the amount of solar energy hitting the Earth in 1 hour is more than enough to power the world for 1 year? Hi, I'm Paul, president of Green Mountain Solar. We take an educational approach to solar, and one reason solar works so well for so many of our customers is that we come on site and quantify your solar access across the year. The online tools just don't offer the same accuracy as an in-person assessment. If you're interested to learn what your solar access looks like, visit greenmtnsolar.com to book a free in-person site visit today.
Hi, this is Anson Tebbets, co-host of For the Birds, heard Saturdays on WDEV. Each week, Chip Darmstadt and I discuss bird sightings, bird counts, and activity at your feeder. You also can listen anytime to podcasts on Apple, Google, Spotify, and Amazon Music. Join us Saturdays at 7:30 and 12:15 for the Birds. 28 years on WDEV AM and FM and streaming at WDEVradio.com.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show, right here on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Every single Tuesday night at this time, we're talking Catamount Hoops. Every other week, it's either Aaron Deloney of the men's team, AD was with us last week, or it's Emma Utterback of the UVM women's team. So this is the first appearance for Emma Utterback on the Brady Farkas Show this year. Catamount women are coming off a season-opening victory last night at Patrick Gym. Final score was 60-48 in this one. So the Catamounts, a year after getting to the NCAA tournament, are in the win column now at 1-0. Emma Utterback is on the phone line with us now. Danny tells me, Emma, congratulations on the victory. Thanks for being with us. How are you?
Thank you. And thank you for having me on the show. I think this is a great opportunity to, talk to the players and, get them with your fans. And I think it's a really good opportunity. So thanks for having me.
Well, of course, we appreciate it. We're excited for the partnership as well. You had 20 points yesterday, 7 assists. It's a pretty clean game by you personally. What was working for you? What was working for the team?
Yeah, so I think, Miami of Ohio was a very physical team, and I think trying to understand their angles, the angles that we could get offensively, and I think just moving the ball around and playing unselfish basketball was a big reason to that. So I got to thank my teammates. They really saw me as I was slashing through the lane, and I was able to get some little buckets here and there, and then really just trying to take advantage of the mismatch because they were a bit taller than me. So I tried to use my speed a little bit more. But yeah, overall, great team win.
I don't want to discount how good your team is, but the MAC is a bigger conference than the America East. So when you beat a MAC team, that stands out to me as a pretty impressive victory. How do you view yesterday's win?
Yeah, I mean, they are a historically great program and they're a great conference. Being from the Midwest myself, I've always looked up to Miami of Ohio, so I understand what they do there and the kind of program that they have. And also their head coach just came from Indiana and we played them last year, so I have a lot of respect for him as a coach. And I also know Katie Richardson, who's on the team as well, and she's a fantastic player. So I think we had a lot of respect for their program. So the fact that we were able to, we lost last year. It was a really tough game. And we were able to turn it around and get a win. It was huge for our team, but we're also trying to take some confidence from it, but also just kind of move forward.
What did you think of the back-to-back with the men's team? Yes, I really liked it. I said it on the show yesterday. It felt very high schoolish to me, in a good way. And it was an opportunity, I'm sure, for you guys to get to watch them and for them to watch you, which you don't get to do very often, I'm sure, over the course of the year. So what did you think of it?
Yeah, I personally loved it. It reminded me, like you said, it reminded me of a high school type of vibe. I saw, towards the end of our game, some of the men's fans coming in. And I think it's a good way to get more fans in for the women's games as well. And the people that will come in for the men's games, they sit and watch ours and they're like, they're really fun to watch. And it'll make them kind of come to a little bit more of our games. So I really liked that aspect. I wish we had more. In my whole 4 years here, we never had a doubleheader. It was my first one. So it was really exciting for our team, and I bet for the men's team as well.
We're talking with Emma Utterback, UVM women's basketball player here under Brady Farkas show, WDEV, AM and FM, and WDEVradio.com. So I said my biggest question for your team, I had two of them, and they both got answered yesterday, but I want your perspective. One is anytime, it doesn't matter you guys, or it's anytime any team accomplishes their goal, I always wonder how next year they'll come back and appreciate the process rather than just trying to fast forward back to the NCAA tournament. How is this team embracing this journey one day at a time rather than looking ahead?
Yeah, honestly, I think that we made that accomplishment, but coaches made it very clear, like, our culture is we're not going to dwell in the past and, like, we're not going to focus too much on what we've already accomplished, because in order to make it happen again, you can't be so focused on what you've already done, because it's a brand new year. It was 0-0 and we still have to earn, every single day matters. And even when we were in the postseason, a lot of us were just like, oh, we want to get to March so bad. Like, we want to go back to that tournament. And she's like, one day at a time. Take your time, take a deep breath. It's going to come. But if you don't focus on the day right now, you'll never get to that point if you don't focus on what you need to focus on right now. So I think games like the one that we just played against Miami of Ohio, they're, again, like a great program. And I think those wins, kind of getting that confidence under our belt, these wins early are going to help us later on. And I think I'm really glad that we're having a hard non-conference. I think it's going to push us, prepare us for the teams that we're going to face in conference. And, we're going to have a chip on our shoulder, even though we have a little bit more respect because we did win last year. Everyone's kind of be throwing their best at us. So I think if we can prepare in this non-conference and take every single game seriously, we're going to be able to get to March Madness a lot easier than if we just kind of didn't focus so much on the non-conference.
I'm a huge fan of Kat Gilwey. Everybody who listens to the show knows this. I think her loss is a devastating one for your team. So my second biggest question was, who's going to play point guard and kind of what's the ripple effect going to be? I got to tell you, I was very, very impressed yesterday by what I saw out of Angela Matic. I thought she was really, really good, deliberate with the ball, score, able to score as well. What do you think of her game overall?
Yeah, I talked a lot with some other news stations about this. I 100% love Angela's game. She has grown so much as a player. Her confidence has grown. I think freshman year, she just was coming from a different country. There's a lot she had to learn in terms of structure and the terminology and all of that. And even just coming to a different country, it's a whole change in itself. And I think having a year under her belt, obviously, you can't replicate Kat. They're two different players. And I love Kat. Kat's my best friend, and I've loved playing with her over the years. And so Angela knew that it was going to be a lot to fill with Kat being gone. And I think that she's kind of finding her groove and being able to do what she does best and provide that for the team. As you said, her confidence is getting there for sure. And I think she is very well with the ball. I think she knows when to pass, when to shoot it. She's understanding crisis structure a lot better this year. And I have a lot of trust in her. I think she's a fantastic player. And I think that, Miami of Ohio was just a small snippet of what she can do. And St. Mike's, she played out of her mind too. And I think she's going to be great for our team this year.
1 negative in yesterday's win, 2 of 15 from 3 for the squad. How do we rebound and get better Friday night against Providence?
Yeah, I think some of it was a little bit of nerves coming into a brand new season, and also just getting that flow back with playing a different opponent. Like, we've been playing each other for several months, and I think just playing that length and all of that stuff, having a hand in your face, but it not being someone that you're familiar with where you understand how they are defensively. I think we're just trying to get used to that again, but we have some sharpshooters on our team, so I'm not worried at all. And just, you'll see the numbers. It'll all even out. We'll be good.
Talk to me, basketball nerd question for you. So I played high school basketball. When I was in a high school basketball practice, a lot of our time was spent learning the plays, going over the system, little bit of scrimmaging, go home. Talk to me about the structure of a college practice. What is it like versus working on your stuff, scouting an opponent, working on individual drill work? Take me inside a UVM practice.
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So it's pretty long right now because we're not, in the heart of the season. But right now it's all about understanding what Crest wants us to do, whether that's offensively and defensively. So we kind of start off practice with, shell work, shell defense work, where it's not live, but we're trying to understand our rotations defensively. Mm-hmm. That's a big part. Even when we know the scout and who we're playing, if we know our stuff the best, we'll know our rotations and how to scramble when things kind of get out of sorts. And that's a big part of basketball that people don't really talk about much. So we actually focus a lot on that because defense is huge for Crest. And then we'll kind of break it up guard post. And we'll work on, penetration and pitch on the guard side. Post will work on their inside moves. They'll kind of do 1-on-1, 2-on-2, and we'll do the same thing on the guard end. We'll kind of work on shots that we'll get within our offense. And sometimes we'll split it up with like point guards and wing players, and because they kind of get different shots within our plays as well. And then we do a lot of 5-on-5, sometimes 5-on-5-on-5. We have male practice players this year, which has been great for us. We're working on a lot of playing against athleticism. So having them playing against us every single day has really helped our physicality and shooting against, a longer arm. And it's been really helpful. So I think we also work on specialty stuff. So end of game situations where it's really close, we got to work on kind of stuff like that. And then at the very end, we'll work on rep shooting, keep shooting a shot that you're going to get a lot in a game and within our offense. So that's pretty much what it looks like.
You didn't mention conditioning. I remember high school end of practice, always running, always some kind of sprint work I didn't want to be doing. How much conditioning goes on at the college practice level?
We find with our team specifically, we do our conditioning in the off season, but in the during the season, we do our conditioning in the 5-on-5. So we'll kind of get up and down the floor because basketball shape is a lot different than just doing suicides. Or just kind of whatever other conditioning workout. She really wants us to work on getting shots up while we're tired, because you can do all the conditioning, but if you don't work on your game when you're tired, then it won't transfer, which I think is a really smart move on coach's part. So.
Usually I'll end these with some kind of rapid fire, but today I'm probably going to just ask you this question and we'll get out of here. I need the Utterback family tree here because I think the Utterback family is solely responsible for all of my Twitter engagements in a single day. Like, your family is so good at following me on social media and I greatly appreciate them. I just got to know who is who. So when I see the notification come up, I kind of have an idea of kind of where everybody is.
Yeah, for sure. No, my family's very good with the social media and supporting they follow everybody. So they are always going to keep liking and retweeting your stuff. So my dad is probably the one that's liking the most. His name is Eric.
Yes.
And then it's funny because it's Eric and Erica. My mom's name is obviously Erica. And then my older sister's name is Allison. And then my youngest sister's name is Ellie. So that's kind of the immediate family. Which is probably liking the most of your stuff. So.
All right, good. Now I have an idea of who is who exactly. So my fun question for the day, who on the UVM women's basketball team is most into Halloween? And did anybody have a great costume last week?
Oh, that's a great question. I think that with college basketball, we haven't really been able to be that much into it because we haven't been able to really celebrate it. This year we were able to kind of wear costumes. I know Kira, she was the Statue of Liberty. So plan hers for a little while. So I'm going to go with Kira.
Emma Utterback, we appreciate your time. Looking forward to doing this every other week. So we'll talk to you in 2 weeks, couple of games between now and then. We look forward to recapping them with you down the line. Aaron Deloney with us next week. Catamounts 1-0 on the women's side, 1-0 on the men's side. Emma, we'll catch up down the road. Thank you.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Absolutely. There goes Emma Utterback, UVM women's basketball star. 20 points and 7 assists yesterday. It was a very clean game by her. And Danny, I know we were on the air yesterday, so it was kind of hard for us to digest what was going on, because we're watching it on mute, right? We're watching the game, but we're watching it on mute, and we're not able to see exactly what's going on or hear the commentary. I was very, very impressed overall by UVM with what I saw. I mean, and again, I don't want to discount how good this team is or how good this team can be, but when you beat a team from a much bigger conference than you. And look, Miami of Ohio went 7-11 in their conference last year. It wasn't like they went 1-17. So they were a mid-level team in a far better conference than you play in. And you beat them by double figures. UVM tied or won every single quarter in that game against Miami of Ohio. I think that's very, very impressive. I mean, we would give the men credit. Like, if they had beaten Toledo last year, they lost that game at home. I was at it. It was right before Christmas, like December 23rd. If they had beaten Toledo, I would have given them credit for that. It's the same scenario here. You beat a team from a bigger conference than you. You won or you tied or won every quarter, and you won by double figures. I give them a lot of credit for that. I think it's fun that both the UVM men and the UVM women won by 12 points yesterday on the opener. So it was a very good game. There were a lot of positives to take away, and Emma addressed a lot of them as well. Let's kind of go through them real quick here. 20 points for both Emma Utterback and Anna Olsen. What do I always say? Your stars have to play like stars. And your stars played like stars. Now, Delaney Richardson only had 6 points yesterday, and she's kind of the third star on this team. But your stars played like stars. 20 points from Emma Utterback, 20 points from Anna Olsen. You get 20 points a game from two different people, you're going to win a whole lot of games, especially inside the America East. That is outstanding. And then Angela Matic, okay, 7 points, had only 1 assist officially yesterday, but I was really, really impressed by her. The number one question on this team, Danny, has been, what do you do at point guard in the absence of Catherine Gilwey? And we were talking about it in commercial breaks yesterday. As I told Emma, I am very, very high on Catherine Gilwey's game. I think she is really good. She's a really good passer. She sees the floor well. She keeps everybody under control. She knows where the spots on the floor are that all her teammates should be at. I saw a lot of that from Angela Matic yesterday as well. Like, she just looked decisive with the ball. She looked confident with the ball. She looked strong enough to absorb pressure on the defensive end from the opponents. I thought she played really well. 7 points, 2 rebounds, had an assist. It felt like more than 1 assist to me. It felt like she was always setting up her teammates in positions to succeed. And I thought I was very, very impressed. Now, the other positive on this team out of yesterday is that we saw kind of a 6th player play a lot of minutes. Okay. Malia Lenz played 20 minutes yesterday, but the depth remains a question about this program. And Danny, I know you haven't been following this program as closely as I have for the last couple of years. You will learn this. The number one question now about them, outside of Gilwey and outside of kind of the mindset on everything, is the depth. Emma Utterback played 37 minutes yesterday. Olsen played 36. Richardson played 31. Bellavito played 32. Matic played 28. The bench players played 20 minutes, 12 minutes, 3 minutes, and 1 minute. So only 9 players got on the floor. Only 7 of them played more than 12 minutes. Actually, only 6 players played more than 12 minutes. Elisa Kresge's got to find a way. We talk about the men's team needing bench players to score. The UVM women needs bench players to play. And then we can worry about contributing. But, I mean, look, as good a shape as these players might be in, 37 minutes is a lot for Emma Utterback. And that's going to be every night. You're going to need some players that can take some of that away from them. The starters scored every point but 2 in that win for UVM. They're going to need more out of the bench. But Lisa Kresge knows that, and I trust she's going to work to develop it. So still a great first win on opening night. It's the Brady Farkas Show on DEV. Celtics lose yesterday. We'll come wrap it up next here on DEV.
Waterbury invites you to think local, buy local, and be local by experiencing our many recreational opportunities with something for everyone in your group. You can hike, bike, walk, run, paddle, skate, and stroll, and even swim in Waterbury. Between the Perry Hill Bike Trails, Little River State Park, and Waterbury Reservoir, there's year-round fun for all levels. Get outside and start your next active adventure. Our small businesses and colorful mix of restaurants have everything you need to create an unforgettable experience. Even your dog will have a great time. Black Cap Coffee and Bakery of Vermont is now open in the historic Waterbury train station. Black Cap is the new place for lunch and for gatherings in Waterbury. Open daily with made in-house pastries and sandwiches for breakfast and lunch. Stop by on your way to or from any hike or bike ride or for a central meeting location. Black Cap Coffee and Bakery is a great place to eat, meet, and work now in the Waterbury train station and in Burlington, Stowe, and Morrisville. Visit blackcapvermont.com for more information.
The most popular and sought-after big band in the world today, the Glenn Miller Orchestra, comes to the Barry Opera House on Tuesday, November 14th. You know the music, you've loved the music for years, and now you can experience it live in concert. The Glenn Miller Orchestra is considered to be one of the greatest bands of all time, and the band stays true to its roots with original arrangements, smooth crooners, and memorable tunes like Tuxedo Junction, In the Mood, and Chattanooga Choo Choo. Don't miss the Glenn Miller Orchestra at the Barry Opera House on Tuesday, November 14th. Get your tickets now by calling 802-476-8188 or online at barryoperahouse.org. Media support provided by Radio Vermont, WDEV.
In this market, you'll find Fisher Investments is different than other money managers.
Different how? Aren't we all just looking for the hottest stocks?
Nope. We use diversified strategies to position our clients' portfolios for their long-term goals.
You don't just provide cookie-cutter portfolios?
No. We tailor our clients' portfolios to their goals and needs.
But you still sell investments that generate high commissions for you, right?
No, we don't sell commission-based products. We're a fiduciary, the highest standard of care for a financial advisor. It means we're obligated to act in our client's best interest.
So when do you make more money? Only when your clients make more money?
Yep, we have one transparent management fee structured so we do better when our clients do better.
Sounds like you really look out for your clients.
We do, because our priority is helping them achieve a comfortable retirement. That might be why most of our clients come from other money managers. Visit FisherInvestments.com to find out why investors like you switch to us. Fisher Investments. Clearly different money management.
Investments in securities involve the risk of loss.
The Brady Farkas Show now has an interactive text line, so reach out now at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show right here, WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. The interview with Emma Utterback is going to be up shortly on our podcast channel, Apple Podcast, Spotify, and WDEVradio.com. You can go and find it there. Again, every other week, Aaron Deloney or Emma Utterback, so AD will be with us next Tuesday at 6:30. They'll have a couple more games under their belt to take on Plattsburgh State coming up on Saturday night in a D3 game that doesn't do a whole lot for me, but it is a time to see the Catamounts on the court. It is a time for you all to get out to Patrick Gym. So I will be at UVM games. I know coming up when they come back home in December, I'm going to go to some UVM games there. I think they got Colgate, they have Yale at home, as I'm remembering correctly. So want to see some of those games once they kind of get back into the D1 slate after Thanksgiving. Danny, after the UVM game, I turned it over to the Celtics yesterday. So I watched a lot of the fourth quarter and then all of overtime. Look, the Celtics were not going to go 82-0. I'm okay with them losing. I'm okay with them losing to a team on the road. I'm okay with them losing to a team on the road that made the playoffs last year. Like, okay, this wasn't like they lost to Charlotte. They lost to a Minnesota team that even in a good Western Conference, I figure they're going to be in the conversation for the playoffs. They're probably somewhere between the 6th seed and the 10th seed in the Western Conference. So it is a good team. I can understand you losing, especially, it was a short turnaround. You just played on Saturday night against Brooklyn. That said, I was a little disappointed in how overtime shook out. The Celtics looked disorganized, and there was a lot made after the game about Missoula not using a timeout. And after Anthony Edwards got hot, Missoula doesn't use the timeout. So the Celtics are kind of in disarray, and Tatum comes up and fires a quick three. that bothered me. I don't want to be hypocritical. I can't say that I'm going to hang on every single loss here, but they just seemed disorganized. I don't think they beat themselves, but they didn't seem to play overtime as cleanly as I would have liked.
Yeah, way too many turnovers in the entire game, but especially overtime. And I don't know about the no timeout thing. I heard they were working on late game stuff in practice, and this might have been Missoula's like, you guys need to figure this out. And then if you don't, this is where we watch film and grow from this.
Missoula said after the game, and it was something along the lines of, I'm paraphrasing, I don't have the audio, but it was something along the lines of like, we like to keep 2 timeouts, at certain amount of time on the clock. So we always have at least 2, when we're in these really late situations.
You can advance the ball with a timeout. So people know.
So it's something like they didn't want to burn a timeout that early, maybe with like 2.5 minutes to play or whatever after Edwards got hot. But I thought Tatum took a very quick contested 3. They were down 5 or something, and Tatum fired up a big 3. And then I think Edwards came down and hit a 3, and they were down 8 all of a sudden. And that was pretty much the game. They ended up losing by 5. But it just felt like overtime was kind of the shoddiest basketball I've seen them play in a bit. Again, a loss is okay. They'll be back at it again tomorrow. But
Minnesota happens to be the best defensive team so far in the league. So,
what'd you think of the Jaylen Brown dunk on Rudy Gobert?
Wow,
that was pretty good. I like not one that like gets like. I don't get up for dunks anymore. Like I'm 34 years old, right? Like I've seen a lot of dunks in my life. There's some where I like, oh wow, that was sick, but like I don't like go crazy for them like people on social media do. I mean, Gobert is a guy who is like
it's a shot blocker.
Was he a defensive player of the year at one point?
Yes, I think multiple times.
Okay, so like a guy, a multi-time defensive player of the year, and Jaylen Brown threw it down on his head. I give him credit for that. So that was pretty good. So, all right, that'll do it for us. I want to thank Emma Utterback for stopping by. Thank you all on the text line. Thanks, Danny. Thanks to Danny, as always, on the other side of the glass, producing and engineering the show. The Utterback interview, I'm told, is already up on our podcast channel. The full show will be there in about 10 minutes. I'm going to be on the Kevin Ellis show tomorrow, Vermont Viewpoint, at 10 a.m. from 10 a.m. until 11. Check that out for an hour. We'll see what Kevin asked me. Then I'll be on the midday news, afternoon news, and the Brady Farkas show. We'll have TC live from Arizona at the general managers meetings, talking Red Sox. See you tomorrow on DEV.
The countdown to 4,000 is now underway at Memorial Valley Ford. Folks, earlier